The work ethic it's going to take to become the version of yourself that you're going to have to put in is extreme. It's going to take extreme intensity. It's going to take extreme effort. And if you're like, dude, this sounds like too much, it is. That's why it's called Bloodline Breaker, bro. Man, you should be going so hard during these days, man, and doing so much, and your mind should be working so hard that you fall asleep and you're like, damn, bro, I don't know what I just did, but I know I'm moving the ball down the field because I know a lot of people aren't trying this hard. I'm probably going to piss a lot of you guys off too, because when we're talking about changing your bloodline, I mean, that's not like an easy thing to do. I was just in a conference yesterday and I watched these guys stand up and they were like, this lady's like, I'm going to change my bloodline. I'm like, no shot. This guy stands up, I want to change this. I'm like, dude, no shot. No shot. Why? Because listen, man, if you're not running at a frequency where you really believe that you're going to change your bloodline, you're not going to change your bloodline. If you don't believe it, first step to changing your bloodline, write this down, is believe it. You must look in the mirror and see what God sees in you, what Andy sees in you, what you need to see in yourself. A lot of you right now are needing some validation from other sources and not you. Listen, Carlos, you got to look at yourself and be like, every day, I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's here. I'm the woman that's here that's going to change everything for everybody. And you got to believe it. First step to changing anything, I broke my bloodline. I'm the guy that came into my family, that came into a broken family. We were a good family. We were better than most. And honestly, man, I just wanted to be the person that they looked at and they said, man, you know, this guy's got it. This guy's going to take care of it.
Hey, it's the Macklin Twins. Thanks for watching the video. If you want the free mentality blueprint, it'll teach you how to be strong, bulletproof in your mentality. Go ahead and text 480-780-2203. Again, 480-780-2203. We'll text it right over to you. Let's get back to the video. Text us. Let's go.
Let me tell you something. My grandfather, I looked up to him my entire life. He was very charismatic. He was a teacher for 55 years at the same school. He's a really good guy. You guys ever be around that person that makes you feel better about yourself? That when you're around him, have you guys ever been around somebody that makes you feel really powerful? Like makes you feel like
100%.
Yeah, my grandfather was that guy, man. He made me feel like I could accomplish anything. Now, my grandfather didn't have a lot of money. Honestly, I'm not the one who broke my bloodline. My grandfather did. Let me tell you why. I might make the money. I might make 500 times the money that he made. But my grandfather handed me down generational habits and generational beliefs. And he said, Ian, we are a family of these core values. These are what we do. This is who you're going to become. We fought hard for generations for you to have the opportunity. I remember when I was 7 years old, between 7 years old and 7 to 10, you're the most moldable you can ever be. The most moldable you can ever be. My grandfather always told me in those years what he saw in me, what he saw in me. And he said, Ian, on the hardest days, you're going to have to speak to you like I'm speaking to you. In my mind, I hear my grandfather on the hardest days be. Now, let me explain something to you. My whole life, I thought about the day he would die, the day that he would pass away, the day that my family would crumble, because he was the guy that my family all looked up to. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad left all of my brothers and sisters. I've got 7 brothers and sisters. My dad left us. I was the baby. My mom was in the military. My mom tried really hard. A lot of you guys know my story. My mom just went to work every single day. My mom didn't stop. You know, my mom didn't make a lot of money, but I saw my mom show up on the hardest days. My mom almost lost her legs in the military. I mean, she's still handicapped to this day. She's in pain 24/7. If you're ever in deep pain, you know, it fucks with your mind, because when you're really hurting, it's like, it's hard to think about anything else. So my mom's whole life, she's been in pain, but my mom's whole life, she showed up. Her whole life, she showed up. She never called in. She never got down on herself. She just always showed up. There's a lot of people in this world right now that they can't even show up to a job and do a job halfway decent, and they've got an excuse for everything. Talking about they want to break a bloodline. Hey, bro, how about you go to work on time? Okay? How about you go to work on time? How about you go lead your family better? If you can't change your family, you can't change your bloodline. My grandfather, my mom, what they did was they broke my bloodline by working hard. Okay? So when you wake up in the morning, Who's watching you? Are you watching you? When you're going to work, are you actually doing the work? Are you on this shit just telling people you want to break your bloodline, but you're not really doing the work? Listen, Jimmy, you're the only person that knows if you're doing the work. You're the only person. If you're going to work and you're working like a little baby and like it's not super impressive, then you know that you're not really doing what you're telling other people to do, and you know that that's the problem. Man, you should be going so hard during these days, man, and doing so much, and your mind should be working so hard that you fall asleep and you're like, damn, bro, I don't know what I just did, but I know I'm moving the ball down the field because I know a lot of people aren't trying this hard. Number 2, effort. Belief in effort. Belief in effort. Belief in effort. You have to have belief. You have to have effort. If you're not putting in the effort, here's what's with obsessed high performers. I've studied them, I've taught them, I've trained them, I am one myself. I've broken every record in any industry I've ever been in, out of hundreds of thousands of salespeople. Let me tell you how, whether you care or not, the work ethic it's gonna take to become the version of yourself that you're gonna have to put in is extreme. It's gonna take extreme intensity. It's gonna take extreme effort. And if you're like, dude, this sounds like too much, it is. That's why it's called Bloodline Breaker, bro. If you're really trying to break the bloodline, let's write down why. My grandparents broke it for me because they were married for 70 years. My grandma, when my grandfather was suffering from dementia, and we had to put him in a long-term care facility, I put him in one right next to my dealership so that I could go visit him all the time. Like every day at lunch, all the time I'd go there. He'd forget who he was. And I'd have to go over there and remind him, and he only remembered me and her. He didn't really remember anybody else, and it was miserable. It was like literally, it was the worst thing watching somebody you love deteriorate and not know who they are. The most important guy in my life. But you know what? I didn't lose myself. And my grandfather still would have these shining little moments of life where he would be like, hey, and he would motivate me and he would tell me who I am. And I'd be like, damn, man, that's the grandfather I remember. And I had to stay in that zone with remembering who he is. But you know what my grandma did? This is pretty crazy. My grandma, I had the power of attorney for my grandpa. He wrote in his, whatever it's called, I'm not like some lawyer or anything, but he wrote in this agreement on his life insurance and his health insurance that my grandma couldn't have the power of attorney. Because she said that, he said when he crossed a certain age, he bought the best health insurance possible. Didn't have a lot of money, but bought the best health insurance possible to put him in a long-term care facility. Because he wrote that my mom and my grandma would make decisions on feelings and I wouldn't. He trained me. He said, hey, listen, dude, you're not going to make the decisions on feelings. They won't let me go to a long-term care facility. They'll keep me in the house forever. You need to put me somewhere where they can take care of me and you need to go about your life. He literally wrote that. My grandma was heartbroken when she wrote it. I was the power of attorney. I put him in the facility. That was hard for me to do. And I needed my family to just to keep rolling, to keep going. My grandfather asked me to do. I don't care if that's right for you. I care about what's right for me. That's what he asked me to do. I'm the youngest out of my siblings, but to my grandpa, he thought I was the most responsible. He thought I would run the play that he asked me to run. And he was right. I would do whatever he wanted to do, whether it was right or not. But I'll tell you what, my grandma, she would go to the hospital every single day. She had a hard time with it. It broke my heart, you know, because she's like, I want him to die in our house. I want him to die in our house. And she would tell me that. And that's really hard to hear. And I'm like, damn. She's like, we've had this house for 60 years. I've got to bring him home. Ian, please let me bring him home. Please let me bring him home. And I would look at that thing and that statement that he wrote. And I'd be like, he told me not to let you. Gosh, man, she's starting to hate me a little bit. And I'm like, I'm starting to struggle with the decision. Have you guys ever had a decision you know you should make, or people are trying to unconvince you out of a decision, but you're trying to hold strong on a decision that you know is right, that you've been asked to do? Well, I'll tell you what, man, my grandma, she showed up one time and she had the van parked behind the facility. And she literally went upstairs and she took on the back stairs. The facility's calling me and they say, your grandma's breaking your grandpa out. My grandma's like 5'1", like 100 pounds. My grandfather's 6'6", 300 pounds with bad knees, bad back. He's old, he's 90. She's carrying him down the side of the stairs. She's going to injure him. They said, what do you want me to do? And I said, you know what? Shit, man, he didn't write this in his policy. Might as well just let him see. Like, let's just, you know, like, let's let this play out. My grandma gets him into the van and, I still have the video. She gets him into the van. And by the time she does this, I'm off of work and I'm right there watching them, and I'm watching them from afar. And I'll tell you about a bloodline breaker, the love that they had for each other. She never gave up on him. My grandma always believed in my grandpa. My grandpa had the craziest ideas. My grandpa, over the term of his life, lost a lot, won a lot. He went to war. She supported him. She wrote him letters every day. She always told him how much she believed in him. She was his best friend. She always told him how much she cared about him. And she just supported him. Now, I see a lot of wives and husbands on this call. How much do you support your husband? How much do you support your wife? My grandfather sang to her every night. Every night. He was a good singer. If I sang to my wife every night, she'd probably divorce me. Like, I'm not a good singer, man. But, you know, I wish I could go back and ask them how they were able to do that and never get sick of it, honestly. Like, but their love still to today is the bloodline breaker for me. I'm like, man, I got to put more into my relationship. I've got to put more into the person next to me. Every single day, I'm like, dude, I remember watching them for 70 years. The effort that it takes in your relationship. Who are you doing life with? What's important to you? What's your core values? What are the things that you see in other people? What do other people see in you? Put a lens on. How does the world view you? How do you view you? How does your kids view you? How does your business view you? How do your friends view you? How does everybody around you view you? My grandma pulled up to the house and she had a ramp built outside. She also had 4 guys that I'm like, what the heck's going on here? My grandma had 4 people standing out front. Come to find out, she found him on Craigslist and hired him to bring my grandfather in the house. Dude, this is a real story. That's love, dude. I show up to the house and I'm like, Graham, you got to stop this shit. And I walk in and she's built handles all the way around the house. She's like, Ian, let me tell you this. Watch this. And before I do that, she's like, before we do that, I got to show you how healthy I'm getting. And she just starts doing squats to prove how healthy she is. And she would always do this. We'd be in the middle of a restaurant. She'd be like, I'm getting healthy so I can take Joe home. I'm getting healthy. And I'm like, and she would always just bust this out like in front of everybody because she was always trying to prove it. She was crazy about that love. My grandma wasn't crazy about business. My grandma didn't give a crap about money. But number 3 is be crazy. Be crazy about what you're crazy about. Be crazy about what you're crazy about. She was crazy about him. So she showed him that every single day of her life, man. Her entire life. I honestly, I do have to have a conversation with him. I'll have that conversation with him one day. But I don't know, like, I've never seen them argue. I never seen them fight. My grandpa would say things. My grandma would just kind of agree. And she'd be like, ciao. He'd get worked up and she'd mess with him and like kind of joke with him. And then he would be like, oh, okay. And like, just go back on it. But like the amount of love and craziness that they had to have to achieve this relationship. I started talking to my grandma. I said, hey, we got to bring up my grandpa back. I said, this is what he wrote in the thing. And honestly, it broke my heart to try to make this decision. Man, it was hard. My grandma's like, I'll go to prison before I let him go. I know I committed a felony breaking and entering into that hospital. And I'm like, damn, man. And she's like, he doesn't have long to live. So I told him that she could keep him there for the end of the weekend. My grandpa ended up dying there, and it was sad. But I'll tell you what. She got what she wanted, no matter what. She was crazy about what she wanted. She put the effort in to get what she wanted. I wish people had that in their life. I wish some people were psycho about their life and sure about their life like that. I wish some people gave some effort like that. I wish people gave a fuck about people like that. We had to carry my grandpa out of his house 70 years. The whole neighborhood came out, all of his neighbors, because they all loved him. This little kid played a military war song when somebody dies in a war, and it was like a trumpet, and we walked him out of that house. That was the last time I saw him. It was really sad, man. I'm really trying hard not to cry here. But you know what, dude? That whole neighborhood, let's talk about Bloodline Breaker. That whole neighborhood, how do people view you? How do people view you? That whole neighborhood there's a hole in that neighborhood right now. There's a hole in that neighborhood. It's never been the same. that whole neighborhood was close. Everybody got together. That neighborhood has never been the same since my grandfather's not been there. And I want to tell you something, man. Honestly, there should be a hole in people when you leave. If you're really doing a good job, there's a hole in me. But you know what my grandfather trained me to be as the bloodline breaker? He trained me to keep moving. He trained me to go hard. I remember on the day that he died, my grandma called and I was at the car dealership. And my grandma said, she said, hey, I want to let you know, like, that your grandpa just died. And I started crying. The worst day of my life. And I said, oh my God, I'll be right over there. And whether this is right or not in your book, to my family, this is what they expected. And it's something that's I can lean on for my whole life. It's something that I have in the tank that not a lot of people have. And I don't know if it's right or not, but my grandma said, I said, oh my God, I'll be right over there. My grandma said, that's not what your grandpa trained you to do. That's not who you're supposed to be. She said, what would that Andy Elliott guy do? I had just started training with Andy Elliott, and my grandpa in his final months of his life, he was telling me that's where I belong. He's like, hey, you belong with that guy. You're training with that guy. You belong around. My grandpa said these two things, and these two things have always stuck with me. You have to be around the right people and the right information. The right people and the right information. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I felt like I found the right people in the Elliott group. I felt like people lied to me. Like, they did a good job trying to raise me, but like, my professional network was horrible, man. And I wasn't really, I was empty inside. I knew how to make money, but I didn't know what I didn't know. It's like telling a blind person the colors green. They're like, what does that even mean? On that day, my grandma told me to hang in there and do what I needed to do. Tony, can you give me one of these? Yeah, right over there. That day, I'd never sold 9 cars. My record was 8. I had like 11 appointments and it was a Saturday. I sold all 9 of those cars. On that day, the entire day was dominated by my thoughts of my grandfather. But honestly, you fall to the lowest level of your skill, and in hard times, you get a chance to show who you are. And those my grandpa would say to me is like, you're gonna get a chance to show who you are one day. And on that day, I felt like just something in my heart, maybe it was him being with me, said, man, this is the day. See, you guys all have people that have died in your family, that this is the day to show who you are. Some of you, you're like, I come from a shitty bloodline. Bro, you have no clue what bloodline you come from. You don't know who your third grandfather was that traveled here from Spain, that crossed 4 mountains, that crossed the sea, that went through the bird flu and all to get here. And then your shitty ass dad gave him, the other shitty ass dad, some habits, and then you recruited him. But you don't know that somebody was really trying for you. See, I really feel like I've got 30 generations of savages somewhere in my blood that really want me to win at a level that nobody's ever wanted to win at. I fucking believe that. Whether it's the truth or not, I feel like I've got everything resting on changing and growing into the man that I should be for them. Now, we get a chance today, if your grandfather's not here or your grandmother's not here or whoever's not here, you get a chance today to prove to them what you got. And here's how change works. It's just a daily little process. But here's the thing. All you need is a few months in your life. That's all you need. You don't need 10 years. You could be fucked up for 50 years and come on here and change your entire life in 6 months. I've seen it. I've seen God work miracles in people once they got committed. Honestly, we have a great God, but we also have a God that He's not going to give you what you don't deserve. He puts this weight on your chest and sees how much you can push. And when you start to push off that weight, He's like, man, I can give this guy some weight. That day I pushed off a lot of weight. That day I started to see a different version of myself. I started to walk a little bit different. When I went home, I was broken, man. I was like, man, honestly, oh my God. And my grandma asked me how many cars I sold. I told her 9. And she was like, you could have did better. And I was like, damn, she's like, you could have did better. You could have did better. But hey, if it's your record, that's okay. You need to bust 10, and I'm like, oh man, that's some crazy stuff. But I'll tell you what, the effort, the love, the passion. The next one is grit. The grit that it took. Life is all about grit. It's all about facing these demons, and it's all facing this hard work world and just like loving. Your ability to deal with a lot of these things that you're facing right now, these dragons that you're facing, honestly, the coolest thing is you're going to learn to beat these dragons so much faster than you thought. And then when this dragon comes up that's even bigger 2 years from now, you're going to use this experience to slay that dragon, to be less anxious, to be more prepared, to be ready to roll. You know, I know one thing, man. I might not be like the best in all of these different areas, but I feel the best in a lot of those areas because I feel like I've done the work. And I feel like once you start doing the work a little bit more, you know, I feel like my kids got the father that I plan to be. When I was 28 years old, I said, man, I'm going to have this. I'm going to do this. Our company's going to do this. I'm going to do this. Honestly, the biggest problem in my life right now is I achieved all of my dreams, and now I have to dream bigger. And sometimes when you achieve your dreams, it's like, damn, now where do I go? You know? But some people never achieve one dream because they just don't work hard enough for that dream. I told my wife that I wrote down 5 years ago exactly what she would look like, how strong she would be in our family. I literally designed my life. And if you ask my mom, she'll tell you everything that I've ever said that comes out of my mouth, I've always made happen. Because it's the word to myself. If it leaves my lips, it's as good as cash, man. If I call a goal, I will die trying till I hit that goal. So you got grit. Stop falling apart. And honestly, you have to understand, failing is the best way to succeed. How much are you failing? If you're not failing at all, dude, you're not really winning. Like the path to success is through resistance, through beating resistance. The resistance is going to fight you every step of the way. Your goal is to slay the resistance and get through it. And that brings you into the next one, resilience. The capacity to bounce back from your failures and continue to move forward. If you fail at something, don't be a bitch about it. Don't be a baby about it. If you and your wife get happy with what she said or what you say, hey, who cares? Get over it, man. Think of the love my grandparents had. I'm sure they had some fights and then they sat down and were good the next day. 70 years of marriage. People can't get through 70 days. You met somebody, you decided you loved them, and then you give up every time it gets hard. Knock that shit off. Look her in the face and be a man. Women, help your man be a man. Okay? Listen, what are you doing it for? The bloodline breaker so that you can be a hero to your family and not just leave money, but leave some of the experiences I had with the bloodline breaker of my family. I'm not the bloodline breaker. I might be the one. I think I'm the one that will change their financial history of all time, but I'm not the bloodline breaker. My grandfather's the bloodline breaker. He's the bloodline breaker. My grandma, my mom, they're the bloodline breaker. They gave me something most people don't got. They believed in me. They believed in our family. And I want to ask you, in this bloodline breaker that you're learning, if you really want to change the world, change your family first. Maybe apologize. Maybe apologize to yourself. I don't know. Maybe say, hey man, I fucked up for 40 years and I'm not happy with who I am. Good. You understand? Let's just go over a couple of things. Who do you guys look up to? Drop them in the chat. All right, drop them in the chat. Drop who you look up to. All right, I'm going to start. All right. I'll drop, and we know Andy's one, but let's just go. We got Steve Furtick. Who is it? Nate, appreciate you. Drop some people in the chat. Drop some people in the chat that you look up to. Drop some people in the chat that you look up to. Andy Frizella, Emily Frizella, David Goggins. All right. Okay. All right, let's go over some of these people. Jim Rome didn't get his career started until he was 37 years old. Jim Rome was lost for most of his life, and then he found a mentor. And then when he found a mentor, his life changed. Okay? Andy Frizella was broke up until he was 40 years old. He was broke, he was lost, he was fat, he didn't like himself. And then he changed. Okay? Emily Frizella too. David Goggins. He sprayed bugs, he was in pest control. And that's not bad, but he didn't feel like that's who he was. He hated bugs landing on his head. He hated being 350 pounds. He was 35 years old. They told him he couldn't be a Navy SEAL. They told him all of this stuff. And then he changed. Look at all of these people that you're looking at. All of them, they weren't who they see today. Wes Watson was in prison. He didn't like himself, and he was studying, and he was training. Say what you want about Wes, but that dude's read more books than 95% of you guys. I'm just being honest. Like, he was in a cage, and people might not like his demeanor and stuff. I met the guy, honestly, in person. He's actually a really nice guy. And, but he fucked off 37 years. You know, Grant Cardone didn't make money until he was 50, bro. And some of you are like, I'm 50, I haven't made no money. Just shut up, dude. Stop your complaining. Honestly, the coolest thing about your life is that you didn't make money for 40 years, so you're going to respect it and take better care of it. Grant Cardone wasn't even Grant Cardone until like fucking 10 years ago. He fucking was a drug addict. He was homeless. He was like, dude, I was at his first conference when it was like the first 10X con. There's 13 people there. I got a crazy story. When I was 21 years old, I slept outside of one of those conferences, and I took a loan from a credit union, and I was an 18-year-old kid. I didn't even know what money was. And they said, here, we'll give you a loan. And I was like, y'all give me this money? I didn't even know I had to pay it back. It was on my credit for like 10 years. I just thought they gave it to me, and I was like, shit, man, that was fucking sick. What is that? That's amazing. I didn't even know. I went down to Miami and I slept outside of a conference. Slept outside for 2 days. I ate chips and salsa at the Mexican restaurant for 2 days. The day two, they caught on to me and they were like, hey, dude, you can have 3 or 4 baskets of chips and salsa. You can have some water, but you can't eat 10. You know, my brother got arrested at a Safeway for eating groceries out of the Safeway while we were down there. Did a warrant out at Miami and he didn't even know. What does that take? That's hunger. That's determination. That you know, part of the problem, a lot of people ain't fucking hungry. They run around telling their friends they're hungry. Motherfucker, I just don't believe it. You know, because if you were hungry, hunger cures everything. Let me just be honest with you. Hunger cures creativity. It'll fix every problem in your business. Hunger cures sales. Hunger cures marketing, because you're going to go figure out what the marketing is. Hunger cures anything. Hunger, if you're a video guy and you're editing videos, you'll edit 55 videos if you really give a shit. Like, and you'll make a masterpiece. Like, you'll figure out anything. If you're hungry to have the best relationship in the world, you'll have the best relationship in the world. Because you'll just do whatever it takes, man. Listen, if you're married on this call, when you're husband or wife, you were hungry to have that person in your life. And then you got them and you cool down. Cool back up. Heat back up. Push the give a fuck button. Give a fuck. I give a fuck again. Sorry. Fell asleep for 2 years. Who cares? Honestly, the coolest thing in a relationship is when you do change and then your wife's like, damn, like, hey, I want this one of you. I'm like, I know, I fucked up for a little while. I know because I did it. Like, me and my wife right now, we're having the best probably like 5-6 months of like our short 3-year relationship. It's probably about 4 or 5 months. It got a little rocky there. And like, she's an alpha, I'm an alpha, we just would argue. Like, and we would argue to win, not argue to go forward. And when somebody wins, nobody wins. And so me and her, I was going to win, and then she was going to win, and then nobody won, and then nobody understood. And like, the only thing that I think that has changed our relationship is we learned to fight. Like, we learned to fight. Like, we learned to be like, all right, let me understand. Let me help out. Let me listen. I heard Andy say it 1,000 times, but I never took it into my own life. Probably because it's Andy and I got close to him. And then I was like, oh man, yeah, whatever. It's just dad telling me that. You know, that's my problem. Tony Robbins, man. He caught on relatively early because he had Jim Rohn. So he bought speed from Jim Rohn. You know what he did? Tony Robbins went and worked for Jim Rohn for free for a couple of years. Most people won't do that, man. You know, like, look at Khabib. You want to talk about the bloodline breaker? Khabib's dad used to have him wrestle bears. You're like, I don't want my kid wrestling bears. I know, me either. But you know what? Khabib's dad, if you go watch this YouTube, type in Khabib and his dad, dude, the way his dad spoke to him is the one I'm telling you guys is missing in the world. Your kids, the way you're speaking to yourself, the way you're believing in yourself, the way you're believing in others, the way that when you're getting into a new business, man, you actually think that you can do it and you actually believe in it. You guys pick up what I'm putting down? Yeah. The grit, the discipline. You're like, do I do this every day, Ian? Every fucking day, every hour. How do I do that? That sounds exhausting. No, it sounds exhausting lying to yourself that you're going to do it. So what you should do right now is push the button and get out of the cage. If you signed up to be the bloodline breaker, honestly, I don't even give a shit about Andy's other 5 calls. Because honestly, if you just took this one call and actually really woke the fuck up and gave like a super fuck about it, like, you wouldn't need any other calls. You would say, you know what? I'm not doing the work. Look at PBD, look at Andy, look at all these guys, look at Eric Klein. Eric Klein was a drug addict for a lot of years. He almost died His wife literally pulled a needle out of his arms 4 times. So I'll go back to that real quick. Some of you guys are older and you've made conclusions on your life. You're like, no, this is just how my life is. This is how I think. This is what it is. Okay? You have to understand that all of that shit is false. All of it. Every single bit of it is false. You have to start telling yourself a new story. Your mind, your experience leads to conclusions. How do you do that? How do you get new? So how do you get new experiences? You have new actions. And new actions lead to new beliefs. They lead to new experiences. They lead to new thoughts. So if you're running around the same people all the time, could be your problem. You might need to seek new experiences. You might need to seek new actions. If you're out of shape and Andy tells you to get in shape and you're like, I don't really want to do that, could be your belief problem. Could be the fire problem. Could be the energy problem. People are like, how are you on fire, Ian? I've done the cold plunge pull relatively for every morning for about 10 years straight in the morning, 5 a.m. Some people want to do it at 12. I'm like, hey, do it at 5. They're like, I'll do it at 12. I'm like, all right, that's not my play. Work out every morning at 5 a.m. Get my mind right. Listen to motivational stuff. Feed my mind. Some people are just feeding their mind Netflix and they're wondering why they just can't get their shit together. I'm like, you got to feed, just like you feed your mouth, you have to feed your mind. You got to feed your mind. John Maxwell, same thing. Kanye West, like, look at all these guys. All of them, do you guys notice that most of these guys didn't make money until they were 35, 40 years old? Most of them. Look at them. Most of them were fuck-ups. Total fuck-ups. Total fuck-ups. So honestly, that should, you know. Somebody sent me a private message, bro. You can send it publicly.
Yeah.
He said, hey, are you the one that put up a video? Hey, are you the one that put up a video of being over a year not drinking? If you don't mind, what led to that decision and what have been the results? That's a great question. Dude, you could ask me that publicly. I talk about it. You know, I haven't been drinking for, 56 days. Because, man, when I first started with Andy, Andy kind of cured me of a lot of these little bad habits I had. My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and in the car business, like, all we did was just drink. At least in my dealership and about 90% of others, it's just like you're just drinking and all this stuff. I was wrong and I knew I didn't like me, but I was a high-performing salesperson. I was better than most. Had a little bit better habits than most. And so I would do a lot of these things, but behind the scenes, I kind of hated myself for the things that I did. Anybody feel me on that? Like, I knew I shouldn't be doing it, but I did it. And then up front, it doesn't hurt you. Up front, it feels good. Up front, it feels cool. But then over time, it's like you start to like hate yourself for it, honestly. And then about when we started this company 4 years ago, I just knew I couldn't have a hangover with Andy. So honestly, Andy kind of scared me out of drinking. So I didn't drink for about a year, and we weren't making money, so I was just worried every day. We got to make money, so I was just locked in. But then, about 2 years ago, we have a company. We're making millions of bucks. We're growing. We're crushing it. And I would go to these networking events, and I just don't really like small talk. Like, I don't really like talking about nothing. And a lot of people want to talk about nothing. And so I would convince myself, man, I got to have a couple of drinks when I go to these events. Well, I'm going to an event every weekend. And so I would start to tell myself these stories of I can't go to these events unless I drink. I don't really like small talk. Well, I can change small talk. I can smack somebody in the face and tell them whatever the hell I want to tell them and navigate the conversation however I want to. But I'll tell you what, because I was like conforming and telling myself these stories, I would drink like 3 or 4 times in a month, and I would always wake up and hate myself a little bit more for it, and I'd feel a little bit slower, and I'd be pissed off, and I'd go through this cycle. So last year during the holidays, I said, dude, I got to knock this shit off. It's going to take over my life. I feel like I'm becoming my dad. I've got my dad on this side, and I've got my grandfather on this side. It's like rich dad, poor dad. I've got my grandfather who did these amazing things, was this amazing person, was this amazing human, that lived this amazing life, and I got this drug addict, disrespectful, lost, son of a bitch that just did nothing with his life, that was miserable, that's just the worst guy, in my opinion, ever, right? Like, that's who I've got over here. And a lot of it was because of that alcohol. So I started identifying, I'm like, damn, man, I don't want to become that. So last year during the holidays, I just said, man, you know what? I don't know if I'll stop drinking forever, but I was like, hey, during these holidays, this is going to be the hardest time for me. Thanksgiving, Christmas, baby shower, family events. I don't even go to family events. You know why? Because most of them I don't want to be around. Be honest with you. Be honest with you. You won't catch me at many family events unless it's really serious. because I don't want to be around it. You know, maybe your family's different. You guys all love each other, not mine. Okay, so I said, you know what? Through this shit, I'm just being honest with you guys. Some of you guys are like, what the fuck did I sign up for? I know, man. Email Andy. We'll give you, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe some of you guys love it. You know, some of you guys are on fire, sending me all kinds of direct messages like, yeah. You know, all right. But anyways, man, I just chose at that time. I said I could go through the hardest time and make a decision and earn the respect of myself. And I could sell myself this new vision. And you know what I started to learn was that I actually love these networking events. I actually learned that I love the small talk with people because, you know, I could start to show them like a different level, man. And I could start to relate with them. And I started feeling like I was like, I don't know, man, I was just lost a little bit. You know how you kind of get sometimes? And you're like, hey, man, why was I even doing that? So I started off on 100 days. Everybody was doing that 100-day challenge. Some of you guys did that 100-day challenge with us. And you had to pick one thing to get rid of your life. And I picked liquor at that time. I was like, man, I'm going to do 100 days of this. Well, 100 days in, I'm like, shit, I should just do 200. 200 days in, I'm like, shit, I should just do 300. 300 days in, I'm like, man, I should just do the whole year. But I'll tell you why is what. If you want to change your identity, which is the most important thing to breaking your bloodline, here's the rules. And I've seen a lot of identities change. I've helped a lot of identities change. So I'm 100% sure of what I'm going to tell you. Once you're changing, let's say that you're saying, hey man, I want to get sober for a week. Well, when that week comes, I want you to celebrate. I want you to tell yourself, I want you to find evidence that you're changing. I want you to look in the mirror and say, bro, you're changing. Oh my God, you're a new person. I want you to literally at 25 days, at 30 days, if you're like, hey, I'm not going to argue with my wife this month, okay, this whole month, okay? At the end of the 30 days, you're like, dude, I'm becoming a new husband. I'm becoming this new person. You got to sell yourself on becoming a new person. You got to gain evidence, new experiences, and be like, bro, I became this. See, a lot of people, they'll go out 7 months sober like Judson, but he's got to fucking tell himself, I don't even think that way. Dude, I prayed for God to break me of these weaknesses. I need to thank him every day. I get on my hands and knees every day and I'm like, thank you, God, for that fucking breakthrough. Oh my God. You know what? Some people get their blessings. They don't even thank the coach or the person or whatever. You know, I had a really good dealer owner that pulled me out of the mud when I was 18 years old. I texted him every single day. Every single day. We had a hard pass because our whole dealership collapsed. There was a lot of problems and there was a lot of hurt on both sides. And when I made it to the level that I'm at now, I said, man, that guy was, well, I had to go back and I judged him for some shit. And I just said, you know what? That guy did really help me. You know what I'm saying? And he sees me on the internet and I know it's tearing a hole in his, like we didn't stay close. So for the last 2 years, I've texted him every day. Hey, thank you, man. Hey, I just want to tell you, you believed in me when nobody else did. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I tell my coach every day, Andy, thank you, appreciate you, love you, man. I'm fucking changing. You see it? I report back to him. I say, hey, man, listen, you know, here's what I learned this week. Here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm doing it. The best thing that you can ever give a coach or a leader is execution, like changing something and then telling them you change. Like Andy, I don't even know what, there's only one thing that motivates Andy, because I'll tell you guys what, a lot of people know that he's done really well for himself, but Andy's never even logged into his own bank account. Money does not motivate Andy. He has no fucking clue what's in his bank account. I do. I've seen it more than he has. Andy literally has no clue. Like, he thinks it's video game points and shit. He has no clue. He has no idea how it works. His wife handles all that, and she lets Andy just go be Andy. You know what most motivates Andy? Seeing people break through, man. Seeing people break through. Seeing the guy that was suicidal say, man, I'm more on fire, more happy about life. You know what I think? The world needs to change their idea of success. 8 billion people need to change their idea about success. You know what success is to me? Waking up in the morning and loving who I am. And you know what? It might take you a year to get there. Who gives a shit? It might take you 30 days to get there. Who gives a shit, man? Toughen up. Toughen up. You can get there. You can like you. You can like you today. But that's my definition. And honestly, I think happiness is earned. Belief is earned. Self-confidence is earned. You know, all of it's earned, man. How hard are you shepherding your blessings? We believe in God heavily here. It's our number one core value up there. But if you're not earning the happiness, if you're not shepherding those blessings that you have going on right now, no wonder you're not getting more. Go back to the starting line. What are you in charge of right now? Write it down. I'm in charge of this kid. I'm in charge of this team. I'm in charge of this person. I'm in charge of this. I'm in charge of my own thoughts. Your number one job in this world, the number one job that you have is to be in control of your own thoughts. But if you can't be in control of your own thoughts, you literally can't be in control of more blessings, because then there's going to be a lot of shit coming at you. You got to be in control of yours. And I'm not saying you're going to think like this, all little rose petals and, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh, I'm not saying that. Here's what I'm saying, man. When you get a little negative thought, you say, not today, and you get rid of it. And you have the grit, you have the grind, you have the determination, you have the resilience, you have the firepower to say, hey, that doesn't serve me, no big deal. I'm going this way. Self-awareness, that's part of it. We'll go back to number 6, that's self-awareness. I know I got a little distracted. Self-awareness. Self-awareness, how are people viewing you? Do you got the look on your face that you are the game changer of your family? Do you have the action? Do you got the frequency? Do you got the urgency, man? Do you got the love? You got the belief? Yeah. And if you're lacking any of those, the first step is just to be like, you know what? I don't got that, and I'm gonna steal that. You know, Andy said something the other day, and I'll never forget it. Certain things he says, I hang on to like my entire life, and I can repeat them in the same state as him. Like it's like I can like just crawl into his brain and feel it and use it in my life if I don't have it. But he said, man, me and you, we're just good at running around and collecting identities. We've always been good at collecting identities. That means if Rob and Rachel have something we don't have, I will go over to their house and steal what they got. Not literally, but maybe. I'm just kidding. Back in the day, I would have when I was like 12. But I will go over there and I'm like, all right, Rob and Rachel got this. What? In my mind, what? And then I just assume that identity. I'm like, bro, I'm using that. That's what I'm going to use in my life. In my life. That's self-awareness, man. If you don't have something, don't be like this guy. Oh, I don't have it. Wham. Fuck that, man. Listen, you say, man, you know what? This is good that you have to change the way that you phrase things to yourself. It's actually very important. You know what? You're not like, I don't have that. You're like, dude, I'm getting it. There's a difference in the lingo. One's reactive, and one's proactive about getting that. And you're thinking that way. You're learning to talk that way. You're learning to develop that way. You're learning to think that way. So as we're talking about the bloodline breaker, all of these things are the reason why my grandfather, my mom, I really believe they're the bloodline breakers, and I'm the one. I'm the guy that's going to make the money, set the standard, and show them what I learned. Oh, but ultimately, all of these things matter. I'm a bloodline breaker, just so you know. Oh, you guys see that? You forgot about your boy. That's Evan. And there's 2 of us. Your boy. There's 2 of us. No, Evan's following my lead, dude. He's second. You know, that's why I beat him out of the womb. But I'm going to cap this off, and I want you guys to think about right now. Right now, what's one thing that you can change? What's one thing that you can do with what I've said? And if it's nothing, then cool, man. You're like, I don't like his energy. I get that comment a lot. I don't like his energy. He's got too much energy. Okay, bro, come compete with me. Yeah, with your low-ass energy, your little baby bitch-ass thoughts, and your little wah. Somebody has something, and your little negative ass. Come compete with a dog like me. I'll fucking bankrupt you, dude. Because you're already just out of the game, man. Listen, man, energy is going to help you create better results. It's going to help you create better thoughts. I'm a master of my energy. I even teach people how to do it. You know why? Because step 1 of energy is you got to audit the people around you. If you got a lot of shitty people around you, they'll bankrupt your emotional energy. Totally. I don't have that around me. And even when I was in the car business and there were shitty people around me, you know what I did? Short conversations. Hey, bro, thank you. We got to go. I got a customer. Hey, bro, thank you. Hey, I got to go. Oh, hey, let's talk about this person. I don't talk about people. I see people with low energy, and it's typically because they're talking shit about other people. Bro, it's really hard. Andy asked me the other day, he asked me some climates of the companies, like, hey, what do you think the climate is here and there? I'm like, Andy, I think people don't come to me and talk shit about other people because I literally have, like, made that reputation with myself. So I don't know that people are having problems with other people. He's like, this guy's having problems with this people. I'm like, I have no clue because I don't get a lot of complaints. You know why? Because I don't fucking complain. If you're getting a lot of complaints, it's probably because you're a complainer. But energy also has to do with what you're feeding yourself mentally, what you're feeding yourself physically. It has a lot to do with everything, man. It has a lot to do with how you think and how you look and how you act. And honestly, if we're really we're gonna talk about this bloodline breaker shit, let's get really fucking real. A lot of you are gonna have a lot more intensity, a lot more energy, a lot more focus. So let's go down a couple things. More determination, more accountability, more focus, more mental toughness. Right now, if you're not completing some type of challenge, like where you're doing 75 hard or 100 days hard, or you're not like in one of our fitness challenges, you're not nice, like I got a school community, you can join that. We do a 90-day challenge. If you're not doing something that massively pushes you, like every single day, it's easy to get cool. It's easy to let doubt creep in. I think obsessed people, they have doubt right in the car with them every day to work. It's in the grocery store with them. It's pursuing them. And the only way that I've found the best way to kill doubt is through action. It's through results. It's through getting a new experience. See, when I go kill this demon that's facing me, and I tell myself, damn, bro, you just murdered that demon. And that shit would have spun you out for 3 weeks 2 years ago. You did that in a day. I sell myself, man. I sell myself on my belief. And let me explain something to you guys very crystal clear. If you don't get very good at selling yourself, like if I look at Rubia and I get on a call next week with her and she hasn't sold herself like a new identity, you can't become the bloodline breaker. Understand that shit. We got these little catchphrases and a lot of you love them. You're like, damn, I want to be the bloodline breaker. Well, act like it. Like for real, act like it. Like I'm not saying like, let's message each other and put on shirts that say the bloodline breaker. Like if you want to wear a shirt that says bloodline breaker, bitch, you better be the bloodline breaker. Like make no mistake about it. Like walk like it, talk like it, treat your family like it, lead like it. You know, tip the valet like it. Like everywhere you go, you should be the guy. Be the guy in your community. Be the guy around your family. Be the guy around your friends. Be the guy that's not the complainer. Be the guy that's the value adder. Be the guy when you come in, you change the temperature of the room. Be the person that changes your client's life. Be the person that outcares everybody. Be all of it. You're like, Ian, that's hard. No, it's not, man. It's hard to live a life that's 10% of the life that you should live. It really is. It really is. And honestly, life's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It's not hard. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge all the time. But I really feel like if you unlock that next version of yourself only through action, only through execution, only through being around good people, and only through around good information like my grandfather taught me, I really feel like you're all that next Ed Milet. You know, I talked to a guy like, let's say Carlos, and I don't really know Carlos a whole lot, but I was talking to a guy who kind of looked like Carlos. He has this big story, man. And he's like, his story can change the world. He's been through all of this shit. Who's been through some shit in here? Yeah, a lot of you guys. Some of you guys are like, I ain't been through no shit. I don't want to raise my hand. I don't participate. That's your fucking problem. You don't participate. You're too good. Win, all that shit. You always have some shit. You know, but I was talking to this guy and I'm like, man, dude, your story could change the world. And he's kind of like numb to the story. He's like, man, I don't know, man. I'm like, bro, you have no idea. Ed Milet was a regular guy. Look at all these guys, they're regular people. And all they did was say, fuck that. I'm not regular. I went through war so I could show somebody what I got. Any coach teaching anything, they've just been people who have gotten their ass kicked and then monetized their message. That's it. You know, Ed Milet's dad was an alcoholic. His dad had all these fucking troubles. His dad changed. And because of that, his dad was the bloodline breaker. He became the one. And then now he's selling the story of what his dad did in his life to millions of people. And he didn't know how to talk on stage. He didn't know how to coach. He didn't know all these things, and he just did them. It's funny, man. Most of the things that you're going to have to do, you're just going to have to do it and ask questions later. Stop overthinking shit. Start acting. Whatever's on your heart, start acting. I heard TD Jake say this the other day, and I'm like, damn, man. I don't know if it was what I needed to hear. Well, I know it's what I need to hear, but I felt like the whole world needed to hear it. And he said something like, when you see a message in somebody else, like if you see Andy on stage just deliver this fire message and it moves you, he said, that's God's calling, that you're anointed to do something that guy is doing, and that's probably what you should be doing. Because some people don't even get moved by that. So if there's something in your life that you're seeing and you're like, I like that, that's probably your calling saying, I want to be that. So go be it. Go use it. Man, I see the dumbest people, some of the dumbest people. I'm not that smart. Honestly, I dropped out of high school twice, almost never went back to high school. Then I went to this like loser school and I was like, damn, I don't want to be these losers. I start my first class in Harvard next month. And I'm a guy that was I barely even graduated high school. Now I'm gonna go take a class at Harvard. You know why? Because I decided I could. Because I decided I was worthy of it. Because I decided I value information and community so much, I'm gonna go figure out what these people know. Your value in the marketplace determines your value. How much value you can bring the marketplace will be the direct reflection of your life. If you have a shitty life right now, it's because maybe they don't even know the value you can bring to the marketplace. Maybe they don't even know what you got in your heart. Maybe they don't know you have this giant knight sword that can help somebody slay demons. It can help somebody change their business. You can do all this shit. Maybe they don't even know that you're capable of it because you're so damn quiet, because you're passive. I don't really know a whole lot of passive people that just like let life happen to them that just end up on top or that end up with something good. I really haven't met one. I met these people that go kick the fucking door in and they go, that's the life that I'm gonna get. It's my life. I'm taking that life. I mean, dude, look at guys like Simon Sinek. He's pretty nerdy. He's pretty quiet. But he just went and kicked the door in. And listen, all of the people that you guys look up to, they're all uniquely qualified to deliver a message to some audience, to some person, to help some people. I mean, I know 1,000 business people. If you're broke right now and you're like, man, I just want to get a sales job. I don't know, man. There's guys like Rachel. There's a guy and a lady like Rachel and Rob Betty. I could ask them right now if I took them off mute. I could say, you guys know. Hold on, we got Leah Bailey coming off mute. I could say, hey, right now, you know, because I get a lot of salespeople that are like, I can't find a job. I can't find a job. I can't find this. I'm like, dude, you just don't want it. I go door to door, bro. This dude literally moved down here and then never left, man. And we didn't give him a job. We made him go work at a solar company and do a couple things, man. And you know, he just wanted it more than everybody else. You know, he lost 40 pounds. He was really fucking ugly. And then, honestly, he's still kind of ugly, but like, now at least he's 50 pounds down, so he's not as ugly. I was ugly too, but you know, now I got 50 pounds of muscle on me, so I look a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Okay? You know, but your life is what you decide of it. It legit is what you decide of it. Most of the people you look up to, they were just totally normal, regular people. And they made a decision. And that's what today's about. Today's about, you guys can run around doing this bloodline breaker shit, or you can get really serious about it. Now, let me explain to you how results come. Decisions happen right now, results happen long term. So the result might not happen for 3 years. But we're in a world right now that wants instant gratification. They want the instant reward. They want to be Andy Elliott. Let me explain something to you about Andy Elliott. I watched him almost not make payroll for the first a few months. I remember his wife calling me like, you guys got to sell something. We only got six grand in the bank. You know, me and Andy could have just gone to any car dealership and made 40, 50 grand. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard for us. We went through the suck. It's like they say, suck the sour to get to the sweet. We sucked the sour to get to the sweet. In wintertime, we chopped wood and carried water. We got ready. We had to become new people. We had to kill off the old mindset of like thinking like, man, I can't go back to this. Me and him said to Jackie, hey, we're never going back to the car dealership. Under no circumstances you ever let us go back. We killed the old us. We said, we're just going to do this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out. We'll go broke till we do it. Honestly, I had a couple $100 grand in the bank. I lost it all. I went like negative 90 to 100 grand in credit card debt in the first year and a half because, you know, my sister passed away and my sister left us. My sister passed away. She went out one night. My sister was kind of the most, you know, God rest her soul, but she was the most like my dad, you know, and my sister did some drugs. Thanks, bro. I got 2 energy drinks. I'm ready to fucking roll. Thanks, Earl. You must think I need more energy. He's like, you need more energy, bro. But I'll end this in 5 minutes. I'll end this in 4 minutes. My sister passed away, and I was like 30 years old at the time, just starting this company. So you got to imagine, my family's already counting on me. I'm already paying most of their bills. My sister dies. I'm starting this new business. I'm not making any money. You know, now we got 2 kids. My sister, actually, she had 3 kids. One was 19, so he's already off to college. We have a 12-year-old and a baby, 2 years old. They have no dads because we had daddy issues. Okay? And he's a baby, man. She has no life insurance. We have to go to her house and move her apartment out. You know how sad that is? To go pack somebody who's dead, their stuff, and move it out. Very sad. And so we now assumed a couple kids, and we got a business that we're trying to go. My grandfather dies right after that. And then, you know, I had somebody else die. I don't know, man. I had like 5 people die, all right away. And so like I hadn't even dealt with this much death. And then it was just like one thing after another, right? And we just never gave up. And I feel like that's right where everybody would just go back to their old life. See, the one thing about Andy Elliott that I'm going to teach you in this next 3 minutes is the one thing that changed his life. So it's honestly the only thing that you need to know. Andy went to a conference and learned something. He got a taste of what was good for him. And when most people go back to their home, they go back to that person. They go back to they maybe 20, maybe 5% of them changes or 10% of them change, and then like that's all that changes. Andy never went back to that person. I never went back to that person. I fought that motherfucker off every goddamn second of every motherfucking day. Andy did too. He never told me about it, but I could see him going to the gym 3 times a day, and that indicates to me that the demons are creeping on you. And I watched him fight hard. I watched that all these things were crumbling around me. I took on more debt than I'd ever had. I wasn't getting paychecks, and honestly, he was like, dude, I honestly don't even remember being stressed out about it. Honestly, didn't even care. Honestly, I was just so happy to be closer to my purpose. I honestly just was like cool with going bankrupt. Like for the first time in my life, I was just like, fuck money, dude. I'm just gonna figure this shit out. Who gives a fuck? Like, I'm just stressed out fucking chasing all this bullshit. I feel way more on fire. I'm happier with myself. Honestly, fuck the money. And shit started to work out, man. Honestly, then it worked out pretty cool, really good. And we knew we were gonna figure that out. Claudio said, what conference was that? It was the Patrick Bet-David conference. We had I think Andy had like 100 grand in the bank, maybe like 120 grand in the bank. And he had to go convince Jackie to spend like 90 of it. Real story on like three CEO tickets. And they didn't have to go CEO, but they had to go CEO. You know what I'm saying? They just had to figure it out. And I remember he came back and he was already a good Andy, but he was this Andy. Let me show you. Anytime. We'll end it here. Some of you can get off if you don't like me, we're done. But if you do like me, I'm going to show you something really cool. Because this is the Andy that I knew. This is the Andy that I know. Let's see if it goes to it. Yeah. Oh, all right. Here, let me screen share. Let me screen share something to you. Woo. Okay, here, hold on one second. Ryan Glazer, can you see my screen? Just tell me yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
Yes.
All right. Let's go. Let's do a little Andy Elliott learning lesson. See, a lot of people thought Andy was great when he started his training program. He was good. But a lot of you are good. But where's that at? But here's what happened. Andy just started to figure it out as he went. And he started to gain more confidence. And he started to shoot the gun and then hit the target. But watch the belief change. Watch the identity change. And I'll show you what the hold on.
Building website you need.
All right, hold on. I didn't plan this, so I'm not prepared. But check this out. All right. How do I turn that off? Where's that at? Hold on, guys.
Every element of your website. You watch your vision come to life in minutes.
Anybody know where that's at? Hold on. All right, watch this, guys. Hold on. All right, watch this. Okay. All right. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this? All right. Everybody, just stop what you're doing. I'm going to show you guys. This is some of you guys right now. This is me right now. All right, watch this.
So I'm going to say hi to everybody real quick. I want to talk about something. And so everybody knows, so I'm going to train car dealerships, okay? That's what I do for a living. So I see people, management, finance, sales people. I see people all day long that live in the car dealership, okay?
All right, pause. Who saw that? Is that the Andy that you guys know? He's wearing a suit. That's not him. He's trying to figure it out. Did you see the lack of belief in his eyes? Did you see all that?
You could hear, I would say you could hear it in his voice, man.
You could hear it in his energy. Let me explain to you what happened in that video and go into here. Andy wasn't 100% bought in on Andy. And then Andy went to this conference and saw that all these other sane people were doing what Andy wanted to do. Andy came back and he said, this is who Andy is. He took that damn suit off. He said, I'm not wearing no more suits. He wore the shit he wanted to wear. And he said, you know what? This is the life I'm going to have. He told the marketplace what he was going to get, and then he got it. And then he stopped acting like a baby. He stopped acting like he didn't believe in himself. He started being even a better leader. He started being even better to his wife. And he started living the life that he wanted immediately. And then results started to come over time, but he just changed instantly. Look, that was 4 years ago. If you fast forward and go through those videos and do a little bit of research, in about 3 more videos, he's not wearing the same clothes, he's not walking the same, he's not talking the same, and he's way more committed and he's way more bought in, and his body starts to change and his belief starts to change, his mindset starts to change, and he starts becoming who he should be. He stops acting like somebody else. He was wearing a mask. It's kind of like in COVID. He was wearing like a costume of Andy Elliott, not the real Andy Elliott. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to start talking about fitness. I'm going to start talking about all the shit that actually changed my life. I'm going to start talking about all the bad shit. Some of you, you've done such bad things and you're so down on it. You're so scared to tell the marketplace, oh, this is what I've done and this is who I really am. Bro, that's your power. He almost went to jail. He did a lot of bad things because we were in a business that just promoted that. Believe it or not, if you're in the car business, you wouldn't know that everybody did that. Okay? And he just started to accept it. You know what he did? He forgave himself first. And then when he forgave himself, he started just being okay with it. Because then when people would say shit to him, he didn't even give a fuck. Because he'd already forgiven himself. He'd already believed he was this guy down the line. He would start to say, man, I'm the world's #1 sales trainer. I'm the world's #1 sales trainer. I'm the world's #1 sales trainer. And then it happened. He said, hey, we're gonna move to Arizona. We're gonna have this business. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And then what happened? Call your shot. Call your shot. What is it? Start acting like you believe that you can hit the shot. If Steph Curry got past the ball, you think he's like, oh, Earl, guard me. Oh, here, hold on, Earl. Act like you're gonna guard me, Earl, like in basketball. I would shake Earl's ass. I would cross Earl over so fast, dude. Just kidding, Earl. But if Earl came at me and I'm Steph Curry, I wouldn't be like, hey, Kevin, you want to come over here and take the shot? Earl looks like he's in too good a shape. You know what I'm saying? Like some of you are just throwing the ball. Like grab the ball and say, I'm hitting that shot. I got the game winning shot. Let's go, baby. I don't care if I miss. I don't care if I score. I don't care what happens to the shot. But I'm shooting my shot, man. Honestly, you know what happens when you start hitting the target, when you start shooting your shot? More belief, more courage, more passion, more energy, more everything starts to happen. Because why? We'll go back to what I said. Because your experience starts to change. And your actions start to change, and your actions change your experiences, and it's a cycle of results, and you get new results. You're like, oh shit, this is working. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, I got this. Okay, yeah, I got this. And then it starts to change. And he changed, but he never changed back. Let me be honest. That's the one thing that I believe in watching Andy very closely, that like I'm literally trying to think what else changed him the most. And I honestly think that what made him the bloodline breaker, he's the bloodline breaker to millions of things. People that don't even say it, even haters, he's the bloodline breaker for. And you know what happened, you know? Whether they say it or not, he just never changed back. Some of you might need some more years of pain to really make the decision. Some of you are ready to make the decision today. And I would encourage you to make a serious decision today. And understand one thing real quick before we go. It's not going to be easy. And also, you're going to fail every single day. That's part of being the bloodline breaker. It's not like you make a decision and everything changes. That's not how it goes. It's just every day you're like, dude, I'm failing. I'm doing this. I got hope. You got to have hope. You got to have belief. You got to have hope that like it's going to change. I had hope that we would have this business. I had hope that I always had hope. I always had hope. He always had hope. You always have to have belief. You got to know that you're built different. You got to know that God called you to be this next level version of yourself, and he's giving you a message through me today. He put you on the Zoom. You could be anywhere else, but you're here. You could be anywhere else in the world right now, but you're here getting a message. And it's up to you what you do with it, not anybody else. The last and final thing that I think Andy's done better than anybody in the world is he's the most coachable human. He's almost too coachable, so we have to like decide what information he hears. Because if he hears something and he thinks he should do it, he does it immediately. And he gets in trouble because he's like, I want to do this marketing project. Boom, and he goes and figures it out. He learns something, boom, he goes and figures it out and breaks everything along the way. You know, he hears this, he's going to go do it. He's just going to do it. He's just going to do it. Sometimes you got to slow down a little bit. But some of you got to speed up a little bit. You got to take more action like he's taking. He takes action because he fears that guy that's in the mirror that's looking at him that was an in-action taken pussy. That guy took no action. He was better than most. That guy made $2.5 million as a GM, but that wasn't who he was supposed to be. He needed to take action on his own life. So anyways, today you're faced with a decision. Honestly, you don't need any more bloodline breaker calls. We should all text Andy and say, hey, Ian just killed the bloodline breaker for us. We don't need you anymore, Andy. We're good. We're not going to show up. He's going to show up to the next call and be like, why is there 2 people on here? This is the 2 people who didn't listen. That's how we'll test it out. I'm just kidding, guys. Show up to the next call if y'all have one or whatever. I don't know what he's doing with you guys. I'm just making a joke. But maybe on the next call, everybody, like I'll send you a gift or something. Like just when he starts to call, be like, hey, bro, we're not here for you. We're here for Ian. Like that'll make me really happy. And then just send me a screenshot. Like I'll let you we'll do something really cool or something. Like I don't know. I'm just trying to drive you guys to take Andy's soul. That's part of my mission in life is like to take his soul a little bit. Like just talk with him a little bit. Say, Ian's coming for you, Andy. Send him some DMs or some texts if you got his phone number. Rachel, like whatever. I don't know. But anyways, guys, the last thing I'm truly going to say is I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys being on this mission as families. I see couples on here. I see people who want it. There's not a lot of people who want it, Ashley. There's not a lot of people who want it. Rubio. There's not a lot of people who want it. Kareem. There's not a lot of people who want it. Junior. There's just not, man. So ultimately right now, you are the bloodline breaker. You're already him. You're already her. You've already done it. You're doing it right now. You're actually that person right now because you've already made the decision. You're already making it happen. You're already being that to your family. You're already being that to your friends. You're already being that to yourself. Like you are that person right now. Everybody say, I'm the bloodline breaker. I'm the bloodline breaker. You're the bloodline breaker, man. You've already done it. Like Rachel and Rob, they're already doing it. They're already him. Like their kids are having an experience, seeing them fly down here. I think literally walked in here with their kids. Their kids are seeing their dad and mom go psycho. Like that's what I have, man. That's the bloodline breaker. That's you already did it. You can teach a class on it. Please go teach one. Like you've already done it. You're doing it. You're showing up. You're doing the work. Tell yourself when you go to bed tonight. Pray to God. Say, God, thank you so much for making me the bloodline breaker. I now know why I'm here. I see what you're doing with me. I feel it in my heart. I'm so thankful for you. I'm so grateful for you. I feel that I'm the bloodline breaker. I'm getting better every day. You're breaking me in my weaknesses. You're giving me new perspectives. You're just doing so good to me, God. God, man, you're just doing such amazing things in my family. Please just know that I'm forever grateful for you, God. Thank you, amen. Say something like that, man. Change your prayers. I need this, God. Please give me this. Just fucking thank him. Thank him. He's working hard in you guys. I feel it. I feel it. In Jesus' name, amen. Go kill it, guys. Let's go.
Hey, it's the Macklin twins. Thanks for watching the video. If you want the free mentality blueprint, it'll teach you how to be strong, bulletproof in your mentality. Go ahead and text 480-780-2203. Again, 480-780-2203. We'll text it right over to you. Text us. Let's go.